Welcome to the first class of your biology, children, and many congratulations to you for your best result in 10th class. And now you are welcomed in 11th. And now we'll start our session with the full that energy and zeal and positivity. And we all are aware about the circumstances around us due to the pandemic, but as we understand all the things in our which are taking place in our surroundings, so without getting stressed, we should start our syllabus and our study in a smooth way. So before I start the first unit, which is diversity of living organism, I want to discuss about the paper pattern and the syllabus of biology in 11th. So I want to tell you that you can go and access the syllabus on the website of council also, as you did in the 10th class also. You saw there some previous years papers also, board papers also. So go there on a cisc.org website and go and see the syllabus of 11th class, because this year you have reduced syllabus. So we are going to follow the reduced syllabus because of the that short session. This year the syllabus is reduced, so you'll go and see in the publication, you will get the reduced syllabus of your all subjects. There you study the biology syllabus also, and there you'll get all the details. But here, before I start the chapter, I'll tell you about the syllabus in brief. That overall 5 units you have in your syllabus. First is diversity of living organism, whose first part I'll start now. Diversity of living organism, here it has the weightage of 9 marks. And chapter 2, structural organization in animals and plants, it is of 11 marks. Chapter 3, cell structure and function, it is of 15 marks. Chapter 4, plant physiology, it is of 17 marks. And chapter 5, human physiology, it is of 18 marks. So overall 70 marks are there for your theory paper. Means your that 100 marks paper is divided into two parts. First the theory part, so paper first will be based on theory, that is of 30 that is of 70 marks, and the second part will be the practical, which will be of 30 marks. So paper first theory I have discussed 5 units and their weightage. In paper 2 you will have the practical. There the practical exam will be of 3 hours, and that marks which are allotted to your work, they are as follows: that your practical work will be of 15 marks, and your project work will be of 10 marks, and your practical file will be of 5 marks. So these are the that parts of the practical paper. And first you go and see the syllabus. After that, in the coming periods, I will discuss about the projects and the different topics of the projects and how to make the projects. So first you study the syllabus, paper pattern, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me anytime. So today we are going to start with the very simple, that easy chapter. This is diversity of living organism, and its first part about the classification and all this. About this already you have studied in 9th class. So let me see what are the different parts involved in this chapter. So chapter overview, we'll study here the 3 domains of life: archaea, bacteria, eukarya. Taxonomy, numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy, chemotaxonomy. Then systematics, then concept of species, then major taxonomic hierarchies: phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, about which some information already you had from 9th. And classification of man, housefly, mango and wheat. aids for the study of taxonomy, museum, herbaria, zoological parks and botanical gardens. Taxonomical keys are there. 3 systems of classification: artificial, natural and phylogenetic. So in this unit we are going to study all these parts, and the first chapter you have, that is the living world. So in the living world you have in your book a lot of that content in each chapter. So as I said you that this portion, some that part of the portion is reduced from each of the chapter or each of the units are as it is, but some content is reduced, so that you go through that and then only you will study, so there will be no confusion. So this, all these parts which I have discussed with you now, these are the parts of your syllabus this year. Understood? So we'll start with the part classification of living organism, that is the part of living world, chapter 1. So what is classification? Classification is actually grouping of the different types of organisms based upon similarities in structure and evolutionary relationship. So what is classification? Grouping. Keeping the organism in the groups. How? On the basis of the similarities among them. Yes, they show some similar features. On the basis of the similarities in their structures, these organisms are placed in a group. As well as evolutionary relationships are there. About evolution you have studied in 10th that human evolution there. So what is evolutionary relationship? Actually it shows the ancestral relationship, the common ancestor among the members of a species. So on that basis this classification is done. So what is classification? It is the practice of placing living organisms into distinct groups based on the similarities and the differences and the evolutionary relationship. What is the need for classification? Classification helps to arrange the organisms in the specific groups there, because there are millions of organisms, there are millions of plants and animals. So how do we identify them? So actually it helps us to identify. So helps us to arrange the organism in a specific group, makes the study of different organism very convenient, as by studying just a few representative organisms of a group. For example, frog. So by studying the different structures of or different parts of the frog, one can understand the general characteristics of the entire group, that is amphibia, because frog belongs to class amphibia. Classification helps in the identification of unknown organisms also by comparing their features with some similar looking known organisms. So when any unknown organism is observed by the scientists, they compare their features with the some other similar looking organisms, and in this manner they identify the unknown organisms. Classification helps to place the organism in a specific sequence also to show their evolutionary relationship, that is phylogeny. Classification also allows biologists around the world to develop a consensus on the identity of a specific type of organisms. As well as classification helps in interpreting the poorly developed structures of the fossil organisms also. So this is the need of classification. Here classification I am discussing because the 3 domains of life which we are going to study as per your syllabus, this is a type of classification only. So this is only introductory part, as it is not mentioned in the syllabus, but in order to link your main topic 3 domains of life, I am discussing here. So next we will see the different systems of the classification. Here students, I want to tell you that you don't need to do all the systems of classification in detail, because this is not in your syllabus this year. Only I am explaining you the outline of this classification in order to link that system 3 domains of life. So classification of organisms is done by the various scientists at different times, that is by Linnaeus, that is 2 kingdom system. Vegetalia and the Animalia, we can understand this is the group to which the plants belong, and this is to group to which the animals belong. Then the Haeckel proposed the three kingdom system where the Protista, Plantae, Animalia. Then the Chetan also proposed the two empires, Prokaryota and Eukaryota. Then Copeland scientist, he proposed four kingdom classification, that is four kingdoms are the Mycota, Protocista and Plantae and Animalia. Then Whittaker proposed five kingdom classification, that is Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. This you have studied in 9th class. Then that proposed six kingdom classification in 1977, that is Eubacteria, Archaebacteria, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So you see here that at each time there is addition of the kingdoms or some that group of the organisms as scientists came to know about the special features of these organisms. Like here only two kingdoms, here two empires. Then the Copeland proposed here the new group, here here the Mycota. Then here the Whittaker again the five kingdom classification proposed here, the fungi. And then the Woos et al again the six kingdom classification. Now here we'll study that Woos et al means the other scientists are also involved with the Woos. So in 1990 Woos et al they proposed the three domain classification, that is three domains of life. And they classified this living organisms into three groups: bacteria, archaea and eukarya. And this is also the recent classification in 2004, sixth kingdom classification in Cavalier Smith. This is not in your syllabus. So we are going to study this three domain system. So this was the history of classification. We'll start the main topic of our syllabus, that is three domains of life. So starting in the early 1970s, scientists began to find evidences for a previously unknown group of prokaryotic organisms. And these organisms lived in extreme environment like deep sea, hydrothermal vents, hot springs, acid lakes, marshes. And due to resemblance with prokaryotes, they were considered bacteria and named Archaebacteria. That is ancient bacteria. Archaea means ancient. However, from biochemical characteristics of DNA sequence analysis, it became clear that there were numerous differences between these Archaebacteria and other bacteria. So today these bacteria have been renamed Archaea, and based on these findings, Dr. Woos et al proposed a new category of classification of life, the domain. What is domain? A taxonomic hierarchy above kingdom. Just now I explained you two kingdom, three kingdom, four kingdom, five kingdom and six kingdom classification. Here the kingdom is the topmost category in the hierarchy. But one more, that this term is introduced by the, or category introduced by the Dr. Woos et al, that is domain. What is the meaning of domain? A taxonomic hierarchy above kingdom. And they divide the living world into three domains instead of kingdoms, three domains. And these three domains are Archaea, bacteria and eukarya. Now what was the criteria? So the three domain system is based on the following points. So what are the points here? The differences. The differences in the sequence of nucleotides in the rRNA. You know children, you have studied nucleotides in DNA. Nucleotides, they are that unit made up of phosphate, nitrogenous base and the deoxyribose sugar in the DNA. The same way RNA, that is ribonucleic acid, is also made up of the nucleotides. Now you will see one more small r here, that is the ribosomal RNA. This R stands for ribosome. So this RNA, ribonucleic acid, they are of three types: rRNA, mRNA and tRNA. rRNA, these are the ribosomal RNA. These RNA, they are associated with the ribosomes. They are the factory of protein synthesis. So the criteria for the classification of organism in three domains is based on the difference in the sequences of nucleotides in the rRNA, means the ribosomal RNA. Then the differences in the cell membrane's lipid structure. Yes, you know that cell membrane is made up of lipid and protein. So there are some differences in the structure of lipid in the cell membrane in these three groups, three domains. And there are differences in the sensitivity to the antibiotics, means these organisms, those who belong to these domains, some of them they are affected by the antibiotics, some are not. So these are the points. On that basis this classification is done by Woos. Now comparing this rRNA structure is especially very useful, because rRNA molecule, this throughout nature they carry out the same function and their structure changes very little over time. So what is the function of rRNA? Actually they also help in the process of protein synthesis. You know, ribosomes are the factory of protein there, because their function is in the protein synthesis. So same way rRNA are also useful, or they are required for the process of protein synthesis. Now this three domain classification is there, where the there are three groups as I discussed: bacteria, archaea and the eukarya. So in the bacteria we will further study the classification also, and this is the archaea. Here also we will study the classification. Methanogens, halophiles and thermophiles are there in bacteria. Cyanobacteria, gram negative bacteria, gram positive bacteria, and the eukarya. Now these lines which you can see, these are showing the phylogenetic relationship, because this chloroplast like structure which is present in the cyanobacteria, it was responsible here to give rise that structure of chloroplast in the plants. You know, plants they also have the chloroplast, and the mitochondria also, this mitochondria like structure also. Further these prokaryotes, they their structure mitochondria developed into the very well developed double membrane structure. So these lines are showing the phylogenetic relationship in between these groups. So this is three domain classification. Now we'll start with the domain archaea. So in domain archaea, the important features of the domain we will study that these are the primitive prokaryotes, live in extreme environment. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes you have studied, students, already, that what are the prokaryotes. The prokaryotes are the organisms those who do not have the nucleus, and there that nuclear material it lies in the cytoplasm. So these members of the domain archaea, they are the primitive prokaryotes, live in extreme environments. And the lipids in their cell membrane, they have branched hydrocarbon chains. That I already discussed, that there is difference in the cell membrane's lipid structure. So in their lipids, what do they have? Branched hydrocarbon chains. And these are not affected by the antibiotics that destroy other bacteria. And their rRNA is also unique and different from the bacterial rRNA, because the sequence of the nucleotide is different. On that basis these three groups are made by the scientist. Now these are the important features, because these primitive prokaryotes, they live in extreme environment, very high temperature as well as very low temperature, and very that adverse conditions are there. We will see all these in the classification, all these points. So let me see the classification of the domain archaea. So this group further has been divided into three groups. This domain archaea has been divided into three groups. First is the methanogens. Methanogens, these are the organisms found in swamps, marshes, gut of cattle and termites. They use only carbon dioxide, hydrogen and nitrogen to produce energy to live and give off methane gas. As during metabolism they produce methane gas, that is why they are methanogens. Understood? So as they use carbon dioxide, hydrogen and nitrogen to produce the energy to live, and as a result they give off methane gas, and they are known as the methanogens. Examples are Methanococcus genusci. Now the next category is halophiles. Halophiles, they are the organisms, they require an extremely salty environment. How much salty? About 10 times saltier than ocean water. You know ocean water is already salty. But these organisms, they require extremely salty environment, about 10 times saltier than ocean water. These are found in Dead Sea and Great Salt Lake. Now the third type is the thermophiles. What are thermophiles? Thermophiles are the organisms, they survive in extreme temperature range. How much extreme? You can see here. 16 degrees centigrade and 110 degree centigrade, or near or below freezing. Means these are the extreme high and the extreme low temperature ranges, and they have been isolated from hot sulfur springs where the sulfur is rich, deep sea hydrothermal vents where the temperature is very high, from geothermal power plants, and they have also been found in ocean water around Antarctica under the polar ice caps where the temperature is below freezing point throughout the year. So you can understand that extreme temperature where these thermophiles, they survive. Examples are there: Thermus aquaticus, Pyrococcus furiosus. Some examples you will see in your book also. Now after this classification of domain archaea, we'll see the next domain, that is domain bacteria. So important feature of domain bacteria we will discuss. Again we will see the lipid structure. Lipid in their cell membrane are unbranched fatty acid chains. As in domain archaea we have studied, they have branched hydrocarbon chains and they have unbranched fatty acid chains. So this is the difference in the structure. And they have cell wall there with the peptidoglycan. This substance is present in their cell wall. They are sensitive to the antibiotics. Yes, like domain archaea we have seen, these organisms are not affected by the antibiotics which destroy the bacteria, but these bacteria, they are sensitive to antibiotics. Genetic material is naked circular DNA molecule in cytoplasm, as they are the member of prokaryotes, and their rRNA is unique. I discussed already, ribosomal rRNA has the specific sequence of nucleotide and distinctly different from that archaea and the eukarya. Their ribosome is of 70S type. S is the Swedberg unit. So there is different there are different types of ribosomes in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. This prokaryotes, they have 70S type of ribosome. Now we'll see the classification of domain bacteria. These bacteria has been divided into 5 phyla. What are these phyla? First is the proteobacteria. Proteobacteria, they are enteric bacteria like E. coli, Salmonella typhus, Helicobacter pylori, which causes gastric ulcers, Neisseria gonorrhea, which causes gonorrhea. These bacteria are very closely related to eukaryotic mitochondria. Cyanobacteria, another group. Photosynthetic blue green bacteria, means they have that chloroplast in their cells, so they are very closely related to the eukaryotic chloroplast. Eubacteria, these eubacteria are the Clostridium, Bacillus, Mycoplasma. This Clostridium species, they cause diseases, tetanus, botulism. So disease causing bacteria are also there. Then the next is there, chlamydias are there. They are also parasites like giardia, chlamydia. Chlamydia, it causes the STDs, that is sexually transmitted diseases. Then we will come to the spirochetes. Spirochetes, they are the spiral bacteria. They cause syphilis and the Lyme diseases. So these all are the categories or the groups or phyla of the domain bacteria. About them we will study in detail in the coming chapters. Now the third domain is there, that is domain eukarya. What are the important features of the domain eukarya? As it is clear from the name, eukarya, they have eukaryotic organization. Eukaryotic organization, you know, you have studied that the eukaryotic cells, they have well developed nucleus along with the double that membrane, and has the nucleolus inside it and the DNA, that is a hereditary material. So eukaryotic organization means they have well developed cell organelles, nucleus, double membrane cell organelles are found. Now lipid structure, lipid, they have unbranched fatty acids. Okay, so that is also difference, but in bacteria also unbranched fatty acids, and eukarya also unbranched fatty acids, but in archaea they are branched one. These are differences. Then here peptidoglycan is not found. As we have studied in the domain bacteria, their cell wall is made up of peptidoglycans, but in domain eukarya their cell wall has the different composition. Like in fungi, the cell wall is made up of chitin, and in plants that cell wall has the cellulose. So understood this difference? Now they are resistant to antibiotics, means antibiotics they are not affecting these organisms, so resistant to antibiotics. The genetic material is represented by the chromatin fibers, DNA and histone protein, that you have studied in 10th also, that chromatin fiber is made up of DNA and histone protein. And their rRNA is also unique, ribosomal rRNA. And here eukaryotic ribosomes, they are of ATS type, that is S is the Svedberg unit, and ATS type of ribosomes are found in them. So these are the important features of domain eukarya. rRNA is unique, that I have discussed. The nucleotide sequence of rRNA in all three domain is specifically different. Now we'll see the classification of the domain eukarya. The domain eukarya has been divided into 4 kingdoms that you have studied, if you remember, that kingdom protista. Kingdom protista, these are the single celled eukaryotes. Single cell eukaryotes, for example, Euglena, amoeba, paramecium, they all come under the kingdom protista. Next is kingdom fungi. Kingdom fungi, they are acellular or multicellular both, and they are heterotrophs. Heterotrophs, you know, when they cannot synthesize their food own, they depend on other organisms, and they have their cell wall made up of chitin. Then the kingdom plantae, these are multicellular organisms. All plants, they come under the kingdom plantae. Autotrophs, you know, with the help of photosynthesis, they are capable to synthesize their food, and their cell wall is made up of the cellulose. Kingdom Animalia, this is the group where the multicellular organisms are present, and they are also heterotrophs as the other group like fungi, and they do not have cell wall. You know that animal cell does not consist of cell wall. And examples of kingdom Animalia many are there: sponges, jellyfish, corals, insects, fish, frog, human. Here also in plantae also you can give many examples like ferns, mosses, flowering plants, trees, conifers. Fungi, they are mushroom, bread molds, yeast. So all these are the examples of these groups. So understood, children? So revise it through your book, and if you have any problem you can discuss with me. Now this is the revision of all these kingdoms which we have studied, and the domain. So key characteristics of kingdoms and domain. So first we'll see the domain: bacteria, archaea and eukarya. So in bacteria, the kingdom Eubacteria is there. In archaea, Archaebacteria, and eukarya is divided into four kingdoms: Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. So we'll see the cell type. Cell type in bacteria and archaea, they have the same cell type, means the prokaryotic cell, while the eukarya, they all are eukaryotic. Difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells you know very well. Cell structures: bacteria, they have their cell wall with the peptidoglycan. In archaea, there is no peptidoglycan, but in eukarya, the cell wall in the that uh, fungi contains the chitin, while in the plantae it contains the cellulose, while animalia, they do not have the cell wall. And here somewhere the cell wall is present, or some other organisms don't have. Now number of cells: bacteria unicellular, archaea unicellular, but eukarya, they are unicellular and multicellular both, because protista mostly they are unicellular, and fungi mostly multicellular, some are unicellular, while plantae and animalia, they are unicellular. Mode of nutrition: they are autotroph or heterotroph, both. They are also both, because certain bacteria, they contain the chloroplast, which make them photosynthetic, means autotrophic. And eukarya, again variations are there, like protista, autotroph, heterotroph both. Fungi heterotroph. Plants are completely autotroph, while the animalia are here the heterotroph. So they are autotroph and heterotroph both. And examples we have studied already in the previous part, that is streptococcus, E. coli. Here methanogens, helophiles are there, archaea, protista, paramecium, slime mold. And fungi, mushroom, yeast. Plantae, mosses, ferns, flowering plants. Animalia, sponges, worms, insects, fishes and mammals. So this is the key characteristics of kingdom and the differences in all these three domains. So in this way, this three domain system is completed. So you learn all the key terms and revise it from the book also. Classification, domain, archaea, bacteria, eukarya, rRNA, eukaryotic organization. So understood, children? Here revise it and see the terms, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me any